Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. Alright, so before I get into today's video, I wanted to mention a problem that I had with the sound. My wife recently bought me this nice set of Axel noise canceling headphones, which also have Bluetooth, so if she has an emergency, I can answer the call while I'm shooting at the range. The problem is my microphone is also Bluetooth activated, so when a shot went off next to me, it not only canceled the sound in my headphones, it also canceled the sound coming through my microphone, and it took a few seconds to restore. Then another shot goes off, then it happens all over again. So I'm inserting text into this video, into the parts where you can't hear me, so that you'll know what's going on. I apologize for this. I hope you'll enjoy the video regardless, and thanks for watching. Alright, welcome back to the Georgia Gun Club and welcome back to the channel. Today we're continuing our load development with the CFE223 powder, and today we're shooting weights from 2.5 grains to 24.5 grains, and I'm shooting the Hornady 75 grain hollow point match bullet. These have performed pretty well for me in the past, and we will see today how they do. I will first shoot 5 fouling shots, and I'll be shooting a 73 grain ELD match bullet for that, and then I'll continue to shoot the next 5 targets with the Hornady 75 grain boat tail hollow point match bullet. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results that followed. Shooting at 100 yards. Alright, some of these group pretty well, so let's bring them in and take a look. Alright, this was my fouling group. I believe this was my first shot, so after shooting these I saw no reason to make an adjustment. Got at 22.5, I've got a pretty good little cluster right there, but I've got some flyers to the outside, so that group is kind of scattered. At 23, I believe I've got a good velocity node here because they're shooting pretty much level horizontally, which indicates a pretty consistent velocity. It was a little scattered though. At 23.5, a little bit more scattered, a little bit more spread out with a cluster there. At 24 grains, I've got a good cluster here with a couple of outliers on the side. And at 24.5, I thought I had a really good cluster going here, but I ended up with 3 out here just kind of high. So anyway, we will take these home, measure these, and get back to you with the results. All right, I have my results back from the range. We're continuing our load development with CFE223 powder, and today we're shooting a Hornady 75 grain boat tail hollow point bullet, and we're shooting charge weights from 22.5 grains to 24 grains. So I wanted to share a quick word on how I measure and mark my targets. I measure these using the Hornady ballistics app and the group analysis function. You can download this app to any smartphone. There's a one-time fee of $5, and then you get to keep that forever. So here, for example, I've marked this average point of impact with a red cross, and I've labeled in red the windage and the elevation, in this case 0.06 and 0.79. I marked my extreme spread with a solid blue line with a little tang at each extreme end, and then I write next to one of those the extreme spread, in this case 1.08. The mean radius is 0.33, and a radius is half of a circle, so I double that, and that gives me an average group size of 0.66 inches. It also shows you your height and your width of the group. So in this case, I have a width of 0.68 inches and a height of 1.07, and I've marked those in pencil. I've used a square and a pencil to mark the highest and the lowest impacts and the ones that are furthest left and furthest right. And then you multiply the width times the height, and then that gives you an area. In this case, an area of 0.73 inches. All right, there you go. That's how I measure my groups, and that's how I mark my targets. On the fouling group, we're shooting 19/100ths of an inch to the left and just over an inch high at 1.03. So I didn't see the need to make any adjustments to my scope after that. So I continued shooting with that same setting. On our first group at 22.5 grains, we're traveling at 2,538 feet per second. We're shooting 0.64 inches high and 0.21 to the left. And this is our average point of impact. We've got an extreme spread because we've got a flyer out on either side of a otherwise pretty tight cluster here. But we have an extreme spread of 1.68 inches and a mean radius of 0.41. And a radius, as I have said, is a half a circle. So if you double that, that gives you an average group size of 0.82 inches. The other thing I look at is the area, and we're 1.66 wide and 0.93 high, and that gives us an area of 1.54 inches. Moving on to 23 grains, we're traveling at 2,566 feet per second. We're shooting 0.40 to the left and 0.68 high. This is our average point of impact. We have an extreme spread of just over an inch at 1.01 inches, and we have a mean radius of 0.36, which gives you an average group size of 0.72 inches. If you look at the width and height of the group, this is a pretty tight group. It's exactly 1 inch wide and 0.58 inches tall, which gives you an area of 0.58 inches. So pretty tight on that group. When we go to 23.5 grains, now we're traveling at 2,594 feet per second. We're shooting 0.53 inches to the left and 0.94 inches high. This is our average point of impact. Now we have an extreme spread of 1.25 inches and a mean radius of 0.45, which gives us an average group size of 0.90 inches. As to the area, the group is 1.12 inches wide and 0.84 inches tall, and that gives us an area of 0.94 inches. I think this is probably my best group of the day. At 24 grains, we're traveling at 2,622 feet per second. Now we're starting to shoot a little higher and a little more to the right, so we're shooting 0.06 inches to the left and 0.79 inches high. This is our average point of impact. We've got an extreme spread of 1.08 inches and a mean radius of 0.33, which gives you an average group size of 0.66 inches. As to the area, we're 0.68 inches wide and 1.07 inches tall, which gives us an area of 0.73 inches. At 24.5 grains, now we're traveling at 2,650 feet per second. we are shooting 0.03 to the right and 0.9 high, so that barrel is torquing. We're shooting a little more to the right and a little higher in elevation. There's our average point of impact. Our extreme spread now is 1.59 inches, and we've got a mean radius of 0.50, which gives you an average group size of 1 inch. As far as our area, we're 0.61 inches wide, and we're 1.59 inches high. And so we've got an area of 0.97 inches. Now, the best group, it appears to me, is 24 grains at 2,622 feet per second, because we have our lowest mean radius, which is 0.33 inches, which gives you an average group size of 0.66. However, when you compare that to the 23 grain, the difference here, it's kind of a toss-up in my mind. I'm going to go with the lowest mean radius because that gives us the smallest average group size. Okay, so if you compare the 24 grains with the 23 grains, both of these have an advantage. At 24 grains, we've got a 0.33 mean radius, which gives you an average group size of 0.66 inches. At 23 grains, we have a mean radius of 0.36, which gives you an average group size of 0.72. However, with the height and width of the group, we've got an area of 0.58 inches. So as far as the area goes, at 23 grains, that is the tighter group, because at 24 grains, we had an area of 0.73 inches. So one of the things I did here is I took the area and the average group size and I averaged those, and at 23 grains on this group number 2, if you average the area and the average group size, you come up with a score of 0.65. At 24 grains, if you average the area and the average group size, you come up with a score of 0.70. So if you're comparing the area and the average group size, the 23 grains seems to have an edge. And another thing about the 23 grains is you notice that these shots are stringing horizontally for the most part, which kind of gives you an indication that there's a very consistent velocity node there. Whereas at 24 grains, the group is taller, which means there's a greater variation in the velocity. But still, on this one, I'm going to go with the 24 grains because it has the lower mean radius and the smaller average group size. All right, so these are my results from the range today. I hope you find this information helpful. If you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions, please leave a comment below. I try to interact with everybody that comments. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.